I'm here.
Okay. You do have a quorum to proceed.
Okay. All right, so we have our, hold on, guys, I'm viewing your screen, but I'm trying to view just my screen.
Okay. Do you want to go over virtual protocols? I can pull those up.
Thank you, please. Because I do want to go over the virtual protocols.
Okay.
The majority of our team is on virtual. All right, so this is our teleconference meeting protocols amended by the Executive Committee September 9, 2020. Council members shall be accessible via Zoom and live stream upon YouTube. Council or committee members will participate in Zoom calls and shall consider present when display a live feed video upon their face with their first and last name, have microphones muted unless called upon by the chairperson, electronically raise their hand to request the chair recognizes them to speak. Once recognized to speak by the chair, their microphone shall be turned on. After speaking, the microphone shall be returned to mute. Guests may participate in Zoom, via Zoom, or observe meetings on live YouTube. All public meetings shall be recorded and may have available upon the council's YouTube channel as determined by appropriate by the chairperson. Public comment submitted during a meeting via format below shall be considered. During a Zoom call meetings, guests may electronically raise their hand to request a comment. Upon being recognized to speak by the chair, their microphone should be turned on. After speaking, the microphone shall be returned to mute. Post comments relevant to the item under consideration in the chat box. Post comments during the live stream of the meeting on the council's YouTube channel as displayed. But if you need it, www.youtube.com/user.laddcouncil. Public comments of a chair characters will not be heard. If the comment continues after being asked to stop by chairperson, council staff may be instructed to end the meeting. The chairperson will notify the executive committee of this occurrence. Council chair will seek guidance to determine if it is legally appropriate to react or share the video of the meeting on the council's social media. Is that all of it?
That's all of it.
Oh, okay. It looks like you had some more down there.
Nope. Okay.
So I'm just wanting to make sure that everybody understands our virtual protocols. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. We will love to hear them, or we will answer them at the appropriate time. Okay, the agenda.
All right, so the next agenda item is review of council membership requirements in the Developmental Disabilities Act of 2000. And then the item directly below that is the membership demographics relative to Louisiana census data. I'm kind of going to address them all together.
Okay.
The two letters that are listed and linked in the agenda are some older letters that were sent by the administration on community living to the council regarding their demographics at a time when the council was not meeting the requirements. We have since fixed that. So I just keep that on the agenda so that people are reminded of the importance of making sure that we keep that we're meeting our demographic requirements. So let me pull up. And when I develop these things, I do it in a way that is easiest for me to understand because I like to see things usually visually. as much as possible. So hopefully other people feel the same. Okay, so this first part is the slots that we are trying to fill, the people that are rolling off of our council. So we currently have 7 slots that we can fill. We have 3 that are self-advocates, 2 that are parent advocates, 1 nonprofit rep. And this seat, this first seat right here, is currently filled by a self-advocate, but it is a seat that that is basically, it has to be someone who is living currently or has lived in an institutional facility, or a parent or immediate relative guardian of someone who currently lives in or has lived in an institutional facility. That seat for our council is currently filled by a self-advocate. And I think that that is the way that this council has done it historically. And I think that that works well. We will get to all of the people who applied later, but I will just say that we only had 1 person who could potentially fill that seat who applied, but we'll get to that in a minute. Hi. Okay, so this next part right here is the current council makeup of our community members. When I say community members, I mean our members that are either self-advocates or parent advocates or guardians. So we currently have 3 males, 14 females, 10 Caucasian, 10 of which are Caucasian, 6 of which are African American, and 1 is Hispanic. Our board, our council, needs to reflect the state census demographics. So our state census demographics are more evenly split between males and females, 62.8% Caucasian, 32.8% African American, 5.3% Hispanic. When you take that state census demographic and you compare it to our 17 total community members, we would end up with a council that would look like this. We would ideally have 8 or 9 males, 8 or 9 females. We would have about 10 Caucasian people, 5 African American, 1 Hispanic. So our racial demographics are exactly on point. The only place where we are not on point is the male to female breakdown. That is not going to be able to be 100% fixed with these members coming on based off of the people that applied. We just did not have a lot of male applicants. So our current council needs, if it was ideal times and we were able to perfectly fill, 5 of the people that we put on the council today would be males. Again, that's not possible with the people that applied today, so just keep that in mind. We need 3 self-advocates, 2 parent advocates, and then we need either 1 self-advocate or parent advocate that fills that institutional facility requirement, and 1 nonprofit representative. We had 20 people who, after application and review, were eligible to be interviewed. Of those 20 people, 14 were actually interviewed. We had a number of people who did not respond when interviewers were reaching out. So 14 people were interviewed. And I believe that concludes the demographic breakdown. Anybody have any questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So from there, let me stop my share if I can. And I'm going to navigate to another spreadsheet. that has the people who were interviewed. So just to give a sort of summary of how people were interviewed, we broke the committee members into teams of 2, and they interviewed people together. So most people, occasionally it didn't work out, most people were interviewed by 2 interviewers. And then their scores were averaged together. And then those scores are what you're going to see when I display this up on the screen. Yeah. Okay. Try to make this a little bigger. Okay. Everyone can see this? Okay. All right. So I guess since they're first, self-advocates might be the place to start. And I will just say as a caveat, we, based off of the people who applied, we likely are not going to be able to fill every open seat through this meeting. We just probably don't have enough people who applied in certain categories. I will also say, because we cannot fill every seat anyway, pay attention to fit and, you know, the people that you interviewed and how well you think they will fit with the DD Council and our goals and our mission. I think that it's important that people that are brought in reflect what it is that we're trying to do as a council. So that being said, there were 3 self-advocates that were rated. Their ratings are displayed. Once again, ratings are averaged together since 2 people interview each one.
Can I speak?
Sure.
So just for historical purposes, this rating only started a couple years ago, and I disagree with using this rating because none of us have been trained on making sure that we are consistent in our ratings. So what I might give as a 5, someone else might see as a 4 or 3. And so whenever you look at these ratings, we really don't have, like, I don't know the technical words, but you know, like the fidelity of ensuring that these numbers are comparable across teams of people who are doing the assessment. So I've vocalized this at other meetings, but I just feel like this is not a good measurement to be able to get good accuracy, is like just looking at what the total scores are, because it's really based on the individuals who did the interviews. And I kind of don't think we don't have the capacity within the council to teach people how to do assessments with fidelity. That's just too beyond the scope of any of our time. So I just want to throw that out there. So I think we really need to pay attention to how we communicate in a different way about who should be selected. So not just based, but everything on these numbers that were given. So.
Okay. I will also remind the committee that should you need to have further discussion of a private nature about particular candidates in an attempt to, sort of hash out some of these issues, you are able to move into executive session if that's something that has to happen. Vice Chair Banks? I think you're muted.
Sorry. Thank you guys. I'm kind of in agreement with Bambi. This is my first time actually coming on and doing these interviews and, you know, rating people. And she's right, because what I may think is a 5, she might think a 3, or she may, you know, I understand where she's coming from. So is there, I mean, we probably can put that up on our agenda for the executive committee to discuss the ratings. And it is, when you're getting into ratings and training, and that is a lot of time. A lot of those trainings are like, you know, a week long or so, you know, to teach someone how to properly, you know, go through an interview and how to rate, and, you know, to do the proper protocols in regards to it. So I'm just going to suggest that we put that on the executive committee agenda so that we can discuss this rating, or maybe a better way that we can do it, or have some personal discussion between the two interviewers. But then I'll almost be biased. So we just have to be very careful in regards to that. I just wanted to put that in there.
Okay.
Vice Chair Banks, just want to remind you, you're the one conducting the meeting. You don't have to raise your hand.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to follow the virtual.
Force of habit. I know it's force of habit.
Yeah. Okay.
And if I may interject, I'll ask that we do make this part one of the agenda items in an upcoming executive committee meeting. That way we can kind of see how we can kind of streamline this in the process. That way to take this into better consideration. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, back to the agenda. I mean, I know we have this all up here, so are we going to reach?
So scoring of candidates has already been done and is on the screen. I'll move further down once we need to get to those other categories. But for right now, you are, you know, going to discuss who you would like to recommend for membership appointment. So once again, for self-advocates, you need a minimum of 3 self-advocates. You would preferably have 4 self-advocates, one of those filling the institutional facility seat. None of these 3 candidates in the self-advocate section currently meet the institutional facility seat requirement.
Well, I'm going to make the recommendation for Eric Taylor, because we need males. And even though I know he has a 3.5, but familiar with the council and understand supports its purposes. At first, when I came on, I wasn't all the way familiar with everything that the council was working upon, that's okay, because at least if he knows something, he can start from there and he can just learn. If he's, you know, he's teachable. So, and he demonstrates leadership qualities. So I'm going to recommend Eric Taylor.
Nicole, Rashad has his hand raised.
Okay, go ahead, Rashad. You're recognized.
Thank you. I wanted to ask a question just for a point of clarity. We have several applicants for the self-advocate. That doesn't mean that we have to go with all of them, correct, Ms. DeVille?
Correct. We're almost definitely well, we will definitely have to put out another call for applicants and reconvene a membership committee meeting later after that's done, because we don't have enough. We most likely do not have enough to meet every seat that will become open.
Right. So my question is, so we are able to, that doesn't mean that we have to select all applicants. We can just select applicants that we feel are the most qualified out of this pool. And then we can go forward and just have to do another interview process, applicant process, to try to see if we can find other applicants with the credentials that may be suitable for the council, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. The time frame for us taking that kind of action will pretty much be immediate from the time that we would close this meeting, correct?
Yes, we'd be looking to turn around pretty soon and put out another call for applicants. Once I know exactly how many we have left, how many that we need, we'll open it back up.
Okay, so just, as a point of order, and just for the committee to know that all applicants on the agenda does not have to be, we don't have to just fill the seats just for the sake of argument. We can continue to do an applicant process to make sure that we do find those that we feel have the credentials that would be suitable for the council. So just wanted to make that a point of order. That way everyone would know that you don't have to feel pressure just to feel like we have to fill slots, just to fill slots. Thank you, Vice Chair Banks. And I noticed you made a recommendation for Mr. Taylor. What's the next course of action for that recommendation, Ms. DeVille?
You might want to get all of your recommendations together and then make one motion to move the whole slate instead of a motion at every recommendation. But that's up to you. You could certainly make a motion at every recommendation if you choose.
Okay, Vice Chair Banks, if I may, I was just making by observation. I noticed Ms. Caserto also had an acceptable score along with Mr. Taylor out of the three. So there may be something that we want to take in consideration as well, just under the self-advocates, and then we can just continue to proceed from there.
Okay. I mean, does anyone else have a recommendation in regards to the self-advocate applicants?
I don't.
All right. Do we want to move on to parent advocates?
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and move on to parent advocates.
Okay. Let's see. Parent advocates are here. We need 2 parent advocates. The one person who did fit the institutional facility seat as required by the DD Act is a parent advocate who is on this list, just so everyone pays attention to that.
This is Bambi. I'll make a recommendation. I did the interview for myself and my Miss Angela Horman were partnered, and we interviewed Brooks Stewart, and I'll make a recommendation for her. She was an exceptional candidate.
I'm sorry, that was
Brooks Stewart.
I was writing. Okay, thanks.
Do we have like a region? I'm sorry, Vice Chair Banks, I have another question. I didn't hear you say anything about like regional representation. Does that take into account here?
I should have, sorry, I forgot to address it.
Okay.
So when it comes to regional representation,
Mhm.
what the Administration on Community Living is looking at
Mhm.
is representation across the state.
Mhm.
So in the past, I believe there was a focus on having somebody in each LDH region, but that isn't necessary because the Administration on Community Living doesn't recognize those regions. So as long as we have people spread across the state, we're good. Our current makeup, hold on, that didn't switch. Sorry, I'm gonna share this map. The pens did not end up nearly as prominent as I would have liked, so it's kind of hard to see, but we're very well represented here in the New Orleans, Baton Rouge areas. We have people in the Acadiana area, Alexandria, and then up here in the Shreveport area. We are missing people here, but historically we don't have many, if any, applicants from here. I believe we might have had one from this region. And also the Lake Charles area, we don't have anyone. And again, I think we maybe had one applicant. I do have stuff to share. Go back to my spreadsheet. I hid some columns until they became necessary. There we go. There we go.
Okay.
So Eric Taylor is from the Baton Rouge region, and Maria is from North Shore region.
Okay, I'm gonna make a recommendation for Ms. Renonda Washington. I interviewed her, and she's very passionate about advocating. She was already advocating, and just didn't know that that's what she was doing, because she was just just going here and there, and just getting herself acclimated to all the different agencies. So and she's so willing to learn, and I just love her passion in regards to the things that we want to do in the DD Council, because she knew some of it. Like, she actually knew some of the acts that we were doing and the acts that just passed. And, a lot of people don't know that unless you're sitting in here and know what we've been working on. So I'm definitely going to recommend her.
Just color coding the people who were recommended just to make it a little easier
Okay.
to view.
Thank you.
Sure.
That's better. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, can we go down to the nonprofit ratings? Does anyone else have any more recommendations in regards to the parent advocate applicants? All right, we can move on.
Okay.
To the nonprofit applicants.
Okay, nonprofit applicants. There you go.
Vice Chair Banks, if I may.
Go ahead, you have the floor.
I interviewed Mrs. Sherry Aduli, and I was very impressed with her insight with the DD Council, and I make a recommendation for her. Interestingly enough, the child that she has concerns that had a point of interest for the DD Council unfortunately passed away about 3 weeks ago. But I think it lit a fire in her to want to continue to take an aggressive stance for trying to bring awareness in that process. I could tell a lot about her passion. She has a lot of insight. And also, she had a platform that I was not aware of until I talked to her, and she was a former Mrs. MRS period, Louisiana. So, but
What's a nonprofit, Rashad, that she represents?
I'm trying to think. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna change screens real quick.
I might know it. Let's see. Or I might not. Let's see. She works for Mina's Mission.
That's it. Thank you.
Small nonprofit. I looked it up. If I remember correctly, and I definitely could be wrong, I want to say that the nonprofit like offers some respite and resources for families.
That's correct.
I think Cheney has her hand
Ms. Banks, Cheney Guidry has her hand raised.
Okay, Ms. Guidry, you have the floor.
I'd like to recommend Dr. Holly Bell. I interviewed her and she seemed very knowledgeable and passionate about the DD.
and with her organization.
I'm gonna have to look that up real quick.
Or what type of organization?
She works for Easter Seals, does early steps with
Okay.
them.
And I was on the team interviewing Kylan Jordan and Paul Ganusho. Kylan is an employment provider, does supported employment, very passionate, very knowledgeable, energetic. So that's why we gave her a perfect score. Paul is also very knowledgeable. He is also a person with a disability, although he doesn't qualify for developmental disabilities. His passion for education from his lived experience of the education system for himself is really the thing that I took away from his interview. So he, while it doesn't qualify under the DD Act as a person with a disability, it's very, very close experience to a self-advocate. So, and he's a nonprofit. His nonprofit is, I know he's on Autism Society, Autism Society of Acadiana. And he started it's MAT, managing Asperger's, it's like a self-advocate group for autism. So.
Bammy, if I can ask a question,
Hmm.
as far as, does she have someone in her past or someone that had a disability or that, you know, she know of that had a disability?
Ms. Jordan?
Yeah.
Yes, she is actually, I'm glad you brought that up. She is taking care of, I think someone lives with her that has a disability. I don't know if it's a direct family member, but she is doing that. Let's see. She's in supportive employment. It's called Employ Acadiana. She talked about like transportation resources. So the person that she's taking care of utilizes a wheelchair, and how, like, you know, just like ambulance services will pick up the person and leave behind their mode of transportation. And so like she's just talking about like just some things that like inequities of what people needing the assistance, and oftentimes they're not, that's not considered as part of what makes the person whole. But she's very passionate about employment. So to answer your question, she does have a person that she is caring for, people living with her, and she just helps support them.
Okay. Thank you. So we have Kylan Jordan, we have Dr. Holly Binder Bell, and Sherry Adubi. How do you say it? I'm sorry.
A dually, I think.
Aduli.
Julie,
Okay. So we have those three that have been recommended.
Vice Chair Banks, Ms. Cheney Guidry has her hand raised.
Okay, Ms. Guidry, you have the
I
floor.
was gonna ask if we could recommend more than one person, or if it has to be one per, like, if I can only recommend one person per category.
No, you can recommend another person. We're just gonna all vote on it. So
Okay.
you can recommend them.
I would also like to recommend Miss Libby Earhart. She is also very involved in other developmental disability organizations, and she's very passionate about advocacy. And I think she also explained that she served on other boards that were recommended by the governor for the disability community. So I think she would be a great fit. I'm currently trying to look into what nonprofit she's on, but I think it was like
It's a rare disease organization.
Mhm.
She does stuff
Yeah.
with rare disease. I think that's what her.
Okay. So now we have all but one has been recommended.
Nope, actually, all 5 have been recommended.
Oh, Paul, okay, I'm sorry, I
only
missed
have-
Paul.
That's okay, but we only have 1 seat, so it needs to be narrowed down to 1 person.
So can I ask a quick, oh, Rashad has his hand raised first. I'm sorry. After Rashad.
Okay. How come I don't see the hand raised?
No problem. Vice Chair Banks, if I may, I just want to put this in context just before Bambi makes her comment. I think this is Cheney's first time being a part of the membership committee. We, as this committee, we're not going to do a vote. We're just going to be the ones to make the recommendations to the council. That'll go next week, and they'll be the one to do the vote. Our job was to, like you said, do the interviews and sift through the applicants that we feel that are qualified to be members of the council. So I kind of hope that puts that in context for you. So you can recommend, but we're the ones that will have to sift through the recommendations for the candidate that we feel would be the best to present to the council for a vote of membership. Does that
Okay.
answer your question?
Yeah, but well, if we have, it does.
No, that's why I was just curious. But I know this was Ms. Cheney's first committee meeting. Thank you for the floor. I yield it back.
Okay. Well, that, yeah. Go ahead, Bambi.
Is there a reason why Ms. Earhart is put in nonprofit? Because I think she's also a parent.
She is also a parent. It's just the way she applied as the nonprofit, but she is also a parent.
But I mean, if she was selected, then she is a parent. So she, under the DD Act, she would be we could put her in
She
as a
could fill
parent.
either seat.
Okay, so did y'all hear that?
Yeah,
So Ms. Earhart could be a parent. Because we only can select one nonprofit,
Mhm.
only one of these people, so.
and that's what I'm saying, everybody's been recommended, so we're gonna have to narrow it down.
I have one
like-
other question also.
Go ahead.
Okay, what is how does someone qualify to be a self-advocate? Like, what is their definition? I know there is, but I'm drawing a blank. Like, what's the definition to be a self-advocate considered for the council?
They have to have been diagnosed prior to the age of,
22?
I think it's 22. And then they have to have the limitations of functioning. And I can't remember exactly how many.
I think it's 4 out of the 7. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we have to make one recommendation. Everybody recommended someone, so we are gonna have to vote on this, like these people, to see who, everybody got a 20. Like everybody except for one person got a 20 and they got a 19. So to me, that's almost perfect. So we have to narrow this down and we have to do a vote.
I would also say that, just to point out some other things, all of them are from south to southeast Louisiana. All of them are not people of color. All of them except one are female. So like, just to be able to, if all things were equal, there's really not much that separates them by the other type of things that we need to consider. So I don't know. How many parents do we have to have? I'm just considering, should we consider Ms. Earhart in the other category as well, the parent category as well.
She's Acadiana, right? And is that the Monroe area? Like, is that up there in that area?
That's
No,
Lafayette.
that's gonna be Region 8. That's not
Okay.
Monroe.
Oh,
We
okay,
need
okay.
two parent
I did
advocates.
interview Ms. Earhart to answer. I apologize, Vice Chair Banks, may I have the floor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I did interview Ms. Earhart and to answer Bambi's questions. We could put her in the category of parent. That way it can parent because she did have children, excuse me, with developmental disabilities. So she's dual qualified.
Okay.
Can we look at, can you scroll down, Amy, to see the parents? Because we can have up to 3 parents, right?
Two parents.
Oh, just 2 parents, that's it.
Mhm.
Okay, okay,
Sorry, here's parents.
okay. So then we've already,
You've already recommended two.
okay.
Yeah.
This goes back to what you were saying about having to get a better system in place, a better metric. This is a hiccup.
Yeah, because everybody got a 20.
Right.
Like everybody got a 5 across all boards. Everybody was good candidates. So
Hmm.
Do we have any other outstanding, any other factors that could be contributing to the selection process? Like you said, geography, ethnicity, or anything like that, that may be help us to decipher the qualified candidate for recommendation?
The nonprofit seat functions a lot like the other state agency representative seats in that they don't really count towards your racial demographics or your
Regional
Okay.
or your
gender.
regional, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Not that you have a lot of diversity in these candidates anyway. They all come from the same 2 general regions and
no, they're so close. All of them are so close in the same region. Well, around about in the same kind of area. And then all of them are women except for one. He's a male.
Vice Chair, Ms. Cheney has her hand raised.
Go ahead, Ms. Shaney, you have the floor.
I was wondering if, since it's so close, is it a possibility for us to do re-interviews with these same people, but have separate opposite people interview them instead of the same ones to get a different opinion across the board?
If I may, I think the timetable is going to be an issue because we have a board meeting next week and we need to have the recommendations in place for them.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that would mean that we would still have to reconvene as a
committee
again prior to next week's board meeting. And that's probably going to be inconvenient for many people's count. It's a good suggestion, but
Makes sense.
it's going to be.
I don't know where to go from here. So.
Yeah, I know, but that was very much so a good idea because I was thinking like, okay, well, maybe we could do that, but it's not necessarily to say that we'll get in touch with everyone by the time the council meeting is next week. So we really already had needed to have the recommendation in by the 11th, but it didn't, our schedules wasn't even conducive enough to have the meeting. So I'm going to make a recommendation for Dr. Holly Bell. Especially, you said they don't go towards, Amy, you said it doesn't, don't go toward our demographics.
no.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheney's hand is raised. I'm not sure if that's still raised or if that's new.
Cheney, you have the floor. Okay.
I forgot to put it down.
All right.
So why are you saying, Dr. Bell?
She's in the New Orleans area. I don't know of the other nonprofits, but I do know that Easter Seals do a lot of work in regards to certain things. I know I have known of certain things that they have done in the past, and that they were doing. That's why I'm recommending her, because of the nonprofit that she represents, because I see that I have personally seen their work. So, but I didn't even interview her.
So I would like to make another recommendation. I mean, I thought Cheney's recommendation was good. I was actually thinking that right before she said it, but Rashad's comments are true that the timing before the meeting isn't, it wouldn't work out. So if perhaps we can make a recommendation to the council to allow us to have whole group interviews with these people, with this group of people, and then make a decision and let our decision stand for the council, if they would agree to that. So we wouldn't have to wait until the next full council meeting, that they would allow us to make that recommendation on behalf of the council.
Okay,
Would that work?
Yeah, I like
Okay.
that idea. Bambi, that's a very good idea.
Just feel like I would be making just a,
Just to put somebody in
throwing
there,
something at the
right?
dart.
Yeah, I don't want to spitball at this either.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's a great idea. We can do that, and our decision will stand as final because we've already went back and did all of this. So in regards to the nonprofit applications, we can put that recommendation into the council and have that in there. I don't know who's Ebony or Amy.
Right. Bambi, can you put that in a motion for me?
I make a motion that we recommend to the full council that this committee has whole committee interviews with this slate of candidates, and then make a choice of the recommendation we'll make to the governor on behalf of the council for appointment.
I second the motion.
All right, we're gonna recommend that we ask the council that we can do our group interviews and that our decision stands to go in front of the governor for appointment. It was that was a summation of what you said, correct, Bambi?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Rashad seconded.
Yes,
Any
he did.
Any objections or abstentions? Okay.
Okay.
Then the motion passes with unanimous approval.
Okay, so now regards to the other positions that we have open and available, those two positions, those two recommendations as far as the parent advocate.
Okay, so if you want to put it into one motion, and if it's easier for you, if you want to give me a couple of minutes, I can type it.
Okay. So I'm gonna motion that, can you go up a little bit more? Because I know what I'm gonna say for this nonprofit, but can you move the,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Ms. Banks, you can't make the motion as the chair of this committee.
Oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and, you know what, I'm not used to being in a part, I'm used to making the motions. But all right. I open the floor to discussion for motions to recommend for the council?
Do we have any more to review? Let me ask that question. Okay. I make a motion that the nominating committee present the recommended applicants to the full council for vote, with the exception of those that need to be for the authority to be given to the committee for the other division. Can't remember the name of it.
The nonprofit.
Nonprofit. Thank you for nonprofit.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Chair
Second.
Briscoe. All right, and we have a second by Ms. Guidry. All right, do we have any opposed? Can you add Bambi, I'm sorry, Amy, after the parent advocates, that we also reconvene? We recommend to can
Put it
I
as a
fix that?
second. I'm gonna put it as a second motion.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Do those motions look correct to everyone?
Can I make it larger?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it looks good to me. Does anybody have any opposed? All right, well, this is what we're going to submit to the DD Council upon our membership meeting, at the council meeting.
Okay.
Oh, Rashad, I see that you have your hand raised.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to ask, at some point, we're gonna have to figure out a better model for doing this, because we have a lot of qualified applicants. And I really don't like the process that we're going through. I'm in agreement with Ms. Polozola, because we're missing the target with this model. So I don't know how we can try to get a better model in a place where we can try to make sure we get the candidates the opportunity to be an applicant for the candidate for the council, and two, how to move forward. So I was just going to suggest that maybe we can start researching some other models that people use, because everybody's qualified, but we don't want to just take. We want to make sure that we have a good pool of applicants and we're using them based on their credentials, not just to the fact that we're trying to fill a need or a void for the council. I just don't feel like that's going to be advantageous to us in the long run and moving forward. I just wanted to say that.
Can't hear you, Nicole.
Sorry. Ms. Guidry, I see you have your hand raised. You can, you have the floor.
I was just wondering if, like, for next time, there would be a way we can schedule a day to kind of do like a job interview type interview instead of us all individually calling. We can set up like a panel and interview everybody in the same day, to where it's not just like, because what I took from an interview, you might not agree with, and that way we all get the same interview at the same time and then can discuss after the interviews. I feel like that would eliminate a lot of the confusion with scoring, because like y'all said in the beginning, I'm new to this, so I had no idea what to expect with scoring these people. So like, it may not have fit the agenda appropriately.
The only issue with that would be the time commitment, because if we all had to sit through interviews of everyone, you could see even 30 minutes with each person, that would have taken hours and hours. And then if some people couldn't sit in on some and not others, that would maybe create some bias. So that's kind of the con. I mean, it's a good idea, but there's cons to it as well. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and we would have to also make sure that each applicant is available at that time frame. Like, let's say that we do it in one day, and let's say we tell them all, hey, this is your time spot on today. This is your time spot on today. This is your time spot on today. We can do something like that, but everybody here would have to be available and present for at least like 6 hours, seriously, because we have that many people. Yep, it's about it takes us about 6 hours as a group interview to do all of those people. So I'm just putting it all in perspective for, just so that we know that what we're going into and what we're trying to do. I mean, it's available, but I know a lot of us are, we're busy. We have other jobs. We have other things that we have to do, but maybe we can make that time for one day. And we can come up with a day that's conducive to everyone's schedule that'll work. So we'll have to have more discussion upon that part, but that definitely needs to be addressed so that we all can, she's right, have the same interview at the same time and make our discussion right then and there, have a discussion about it, because most group interviews go like that. Once you had a candidate in there and they sat down and they discussed, they've asked a question, then the group is going to discuss it and they're going to make their decisions from there. So, yeah. And then we have to have some kind of structured, something going forward so that we can adapt this and that we don't have these issues for the next time we have council membership. Okay, I yield the floor.
Right. If I may, we'll need to think about that idea a little bit more. I like the concept, but then we have to watch what triggers a public meeting. And all members of a ad hoc committee meeting together triggers a public meeting. So we would have to figure out how to navigate that.
Okay,
Okay, so with your motions done, if there are no further comments, no public comments, then you're free to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
all right. I second it. Can I second it?
You don't need a second
Oh, okay, all
for
right.
this one.
All right, well, the meeting has been adjourned and you all have a wonderful, productive day.
Y'all have a great one as well.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.